Welcome everyone, join us today as we celebrate the life and legacy of Graham Bonnet, the English singer whose journey took him from UK chart success with the Marbles, stadium glory with Rainbow, and cult acclaim with Alcatrazz and beyond. So let's dive in. Graham Bonnet, born the 23rd of December 1947, in Skegness, Lincolnshire, England. Born and raised in Skegness, Lincolnshire, Graham entered show business at an early age. At 8 years old he sang "Good Companions" at his Cub concert, and 2 years later performed Paul Anka's "Diana" at another Cub event, an early sign that he was comfortable on stage and already tuned to contemporary pop. Music surrounded his school life. Both he and his cousin Trevor Grunnell, later known professionally as Trevor Gordon, played guitar in the school orchestra, and the pair performed in a local church production of Oklahoma. Graham admired hitmakers Helen Shapiro and Adam Faith and followed the British charts closely. Encouraged by his parents, he entered local talent contests. They even invested in a good electric guitar and amplifier to help him step up from amateur to semi-pro appearances. In June 1961, he won the Discovery Time talent competition, while a 1962 Carnival Week appearance at Cyril Catlin's party night at the Embassy in Skegness drew cheers and an encore, enough to get him invited onto Catlin's weekly Talent Time Monday show. He auditioned for local beat outfit, Take 4, for experience, but was turned down for being too young. Undeterred, in 1963 he joined the Skyliners, a jazz-leaning group, singing and playing guitar. These early steps built confidence and stagecraft and kept his ambitions locked on a professional music life. By the mid-1960s Graham set his sights on London. In 1967, he formed a duo with cousin Trevor Gordon, who had recently returned from Australia after playing and recording around the Bee Gees, and they took the name The Marbles. That connection proved important, with the Gibb brothers supplying material and support. The Marbles' debut single, Only One Woman, arrived in 1968 and climbed to UK number 5 by November, giving Graham his first national hit and a place on prime radio and TV slots. The follow-up, The Walls Fell Down, in 1969, also received strong airplay and chart interest, though it didn't match the debut's peak. A self-titled album, The Marbles, in 1970, followed before the project drew to an end, a brief, bright window that put Graham's clean, high-impact pop tenor on record, and linked him to world-class songwriters at the beginning of his career. When Trevor stepped away from the music industry, Graham stayed the course. He moved into TV advertising jingles, a reliable way to pay the bills and sharpen studio skills, cut occasional solo sides, and even took bass gigs where needed. The results were inconsistent, but he remained working and visible. Graham also ventured onto the screen. He appeared in the British comedy film 3 for All, in 1975, playing the lead singer of the fictional band Billy Beethoven, in a cast that included several well-known UK comedy personalities, and his then-partner Adrian Poster. Around the same time he completed material for a solo album, in 1974, that remained shelved for decades, and he continued issuing singles in the early 70s, none an immediate UK breakthrough, but each adding to his studio resume. A significant change came when he signed with the small Ringo label. There he released 2 albums, Graham Bonnet, in 1977, and No Bad Habits, in 1978. The first became a surprise hit in Australia, earning a gold disc and spawning 2 major singles there, a cover of Bob Dylan's It's All Over Now Baby Blue, top 3 Australia, in November 1977, and Warm Ride, a Bee Gees composition that hit number 2 in Australia, in August 1978. These records proved he could carry entire albums under his own name and translate his precision pop delivery into contemporary production. They also kept Graham on playlists far from the UK at a time when the British market was shifting rapidly. In 1979, as Ritchie Blackmore retooled Rainbow after Ronnie James Dio's departure, Graham was invited to audition. At the same time he was approached to join UK glam rock band Sweet to replace Brian Connolly, but instead chose Rainbow. His reputation by then was unusual for a hard rock vacancy, a polished, radio-ready singer who could deliver on pitch and power. The gamble paid off. Rainbow's album Down to Earth, released in August 1979, introduced a tighter, more melodic approach and delivered 2 major UK hits, Since You've Been Gone, UK number 6 in October 1979, and All Night Long, UK top 10, early 1980. The lineup: Blackmore on guitar, Roger Glover, bass and producer, Don Airey on keys, Cozy Powell on drums, and Graham on vocals, pushed Rainbow toward mainstream rock radio without sacrificing bite, and the new songs traveled across Europe, Japan and beyond. The apex of this chapter came with Rainbow's headline set at the inaugural Monsters of Rock Festival, Donington Park, on the 16th of August 1980, a landmark UK hard rock event that underlined Rainbow's stature and showed Graham commanding a festival crowd at full tilt. After the touring cycle, lack of new material and internal changes moved the band in a different direction, and Graham departed in late 1980. Leaving Rainbow, Graham returned to his solo name with Momentum and Heavyweight Friends. The album lineup, in 1981, featured contributions from top players including Cozy Powell, John Lord, and members of Status Quo, Francis Rossi and Rick Parfitt, and it balanced catchy pop rock, classic R&B inflections, and harder-edged cuts. The lead single, Night Games, reached UK number 6, and charted March 1981, confirming that the audience who'd heard him front Rainbow would still follow his voice on his own records. In 1982, Graham accepted an offer to front Michael Schenker Group, cutting the album Assault Attack, in 1982. The record remains a fan favourite, but the stint ended abruptly after a single UK show at Sheffield Polytechnic, when an onstage incident led to him leaving the band. Despite the brevity, the MSG episode is important. It entrenched Graham's standing within the heavy guitar world and directly preceded the band he would build to his own specifications. In 1983, Graham co-founded Alcatrazz in Los Angeles, with Gary Shea on bass, Jimmy Waldo on keyboards, and Jan Uvina on drums, recruiting a then unknown Swedish guitarist, Yngwie Malmsteen. The debut album No Parole from Rock and Roll, on the 15th of October 1983, delivered the MTV radio favorite Island in the Sun, and Alcatrazz quickly became a headliner in Japan, where the combination of melodic choruses and virtuoso guitar found a large, loyal audience. A live set, Live Sentence, in 1984, captured the Malmsteen era before he departed to form his own band. Steve Vai stepped in on guitar for Disturbing the Peace, in 1985, yielding the single, God Blessed video, while Danny Johnson replaced Vai on Dangerous Games, in 1986, which included an Alcatrazz remake of Graham's early hit, Only One Woman. After heavy touring and frequent lineup stress, Alcatrazz disbanded in 1987. The concept, however, Graham's articulate tenor over top-flight guitar, became a touchstone in 80s metal, launching, or accelerating, the rise of two of the era's defining guitarists. Graham returned to solo work, but Alcatrazz would remain part of his story. In 2009 he revived Alcatrazz with a fresh lineup, because the relaunch happened without some original members. Rival versions later appeared. In 1988, Graham joined Impellitteri for the album Stand in Line, a US Billboard 200 entry, reaching number 91 for 20 weeks on the chart. Its title track, alongside a turbocharged revisit of Since You've Been Gone, kept him visible on American hard rock outlets at the tail end of the 80s. Around the same time he recorded with Forcefield, the studio band assembled by Paul Raymond and Bob Kulick. In Australia, he also briefly fronted the Party Boys in 1987, a rotating supergroup, underlining his enduring draw there. The 90s brought a steady stream of releases. Here Comes the Night, in 1991, featured originals and covers, including another take on Only One Woman, and reflected Graham's writing partnership and personal relationship at the time with Joe Amy. He then formed Blackthorn with guitarist Bob Kulick, releasing Afterlife in 1993. More solo work followed. Underground, in 1997, and The Day I Went Mad, in 1999, in parallel with a notable Japanese collaboration, fronting Anthem on Heavy Metal Anthem, in 2000, English-language new versions of the band's classics. The Japanese connection, forged in the Alcatrazz years, remained one of the most durable and appreciative audiences of his career. Archival activity picked up too. Material recorded in 1974 that had been shelved for decades finally surfaced on expanded reissues. The Ring O albums also returned to print, including the UK 2016 double-disc issue pairing Graham Bonnet, in 1977, and No Bad Habits, in 1978, with bonus tracks and improved sources, welcome restorations for collectors, particularly in territories where the original vinyl was scarce. As the 2010s progressed, Graham was a welcome presence at festivals and classic rock celebrations. He appeared with Michael Schenker Fest, sharing stages and studio time with several eras of MSG, on Resurrection, in 2018, and Revelation, in 2019. These shows reintroduced him to large audiences in Europe, Japan, and the US, creating setlists that mixed Rainbow and Alcatrazz highlights with newer material. By the mid-2010s, Graham founded the Graham Bonnet Band, with bassist, manager Beth Amy Heavenstone. The debut The Book, in 2016, paired new material with re-recordings of classics from across his career to unify his catalogue for modern live shows. Meanwhile, in 2018 Back in the Garage followed, then Day Out in Nowhere, on the 13th of May 2022, a record praised for its energy and songwriting bite and proof that he remained creative well into his 70s. Tours through Europe, Japan and North America have kept the band active, with setlists spanning the Marbles, Rainbow, Alcatrazz, and the new albums. In parallel, the Alcatrazz legacy continued to evolve. A Japan reunion featuring Graham, Jimmy Waldo and Gary Shea appeared on Parole Denied Tokyo 2017, released in 2018. A studio album under the Alcatrazz name, Born Innocent, in 2020, arrived with guest contributions including Steve Vai, while public disagreements among ex-members underscored the name's ongoing commercial pull. On a personal note, Graham's personal life has intersected with his work at several points. He and actress and singer Adrienne Poster were partners for years and married in 1974. The marriage was short-lived and he later spoke of the period as difficult, including a move back to his parents' home in Skegness while he fought depression and regrouped. In the early 1990s he collaborated with, and later married, Australian Jo Amy, who is credited on his 1991 album Here Comes the Night. Since the mid-2010s he has been professionally and personally linked with Beth Amy Heavenstone, with whom he formed the Graham Bonnet Band. In 2018, Graham publicly discussed plans to meet an adult son he had not previously known, reported as living in Canada. In recent years, and to this very day, Graham has remained active as a recording and touring artist. The Graham Bonnet Band tours have alternated theatre dates, festivals and club shows, particularly in Europe and Japan, where demand remains strong for set lists that span Rainbow and Alcatrazz favourites along with new songs. Studio output has continued with Day Out in Nowhere, 2022, and archival issues keep earlier projects in print for new listeners. Invitations to collaborative concerts, including those celebrating Michael Schenker's legacy, have also kept Graham on big stages and in front of multi-generation crowds. And there you have it. From a boy in Skegness winning talent nights, to fronting Rainbow on world stages, scoring hits in Australia, and founding Alcatrazz before returning with the Graham Bonnet Band, Graham's journey spans pop, rock, and metal. Loved by fans, his life in music continues to inspire, on stage and on record, to this very day, and for generations to come. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos on your favorite icons, just like this. Take care and bye for now.